It's the Law with ABC legal analyst Royal Oakes is brought to you by Clark Hill Legal and Professional Services. Clark Hill has locations in Grand Rapids, Lansing, Detroit, and Birmingham.
Today on It's the Law, a reference rumble. That's next.
Now, important information for Michigan businesses. Experts say there are new opportunities that could help your business grow without having to wait for the economy to make a full rebound. John Van Fossen of Clark Hill explains how having a network of trusted advisors can help lead you to new opportunities.
Many companies and organizations miss chances to improve their bottom lines, save money, or add revenue streams because they simply don't know where to look. It's important to work with professionals who keep up with new laws, regulations, trends, and opportunities. It's not always easy to find an opportunity like a public-private partnership, tax incentive, or a federal grant. But with the right team, you can be creative and also mitigate your risk.
The experts at Clark Hill recommend that you seek advice from professionals who understand business, government, and the law. Clark Hill can be part of your company's economic generator. Count on us. Count on more. Visit clarkhill.com. That's clarkhill.com.
I'm Royal Oakes, and this is It's the Law. Have you ever wondered what your former employer says about you after you're gone? Well, there's a company in West Virginia that can help satisfy your curiosity. The firm provides a very specialized service. For $79, they'll call up your ex-boss and say, "We're thinking about hiring this fellow who used to work for you. What can you tell us about him?" Then the company gives their client a sworn transcript of the phone interview. In the last 4 years, more than 500 ex-workers have won out-of-court settlements based on allegedly slanderous statements made to the company. Very few cases have gone to trial, since to win, an employee would have to prove a statement was false and damaging to their reputation. But one jury did recently award $1.6 million on the strength of the phone interview. With the law firm of Barger & Wolin, I'm Royal Oakes, and this is It's the Law.
Friday morning, Bob Lutz will join us, the super auto executive, a very outspoken, hard-charging sort of guy. Right now, I'm test driving the 2011 Hyundai Sonata GLS. It's got about 35,000 miles on it, but it's available at less than Blue Book value, only $19,989. Now, Blue Book value is about $22,000. You can get it at Hyundai of Lansing, wherever you are in the state. Just go to HyundaiofLansing.com. Or stop in and see Cheryl Freeborough. She's in Grand Ledge there, and she has lots of other pre-owned vehicles as well as brand-new ones, too. This, as you can see, if you're watching on Fox 47 or you drive by our American Metal Roof studio, is a silver, sleek-looking car. You know, if you squint a little bit, it does look like a James Bond vehicle. And on Friday, we're going to talk to the guy who has written the latest James Bond book, Carte Blanche. And he was commissioned, as I understand it, by the Ian Fleming family to keep the tradition alive. And we'll see how he went about that when we talk with him on Friday. In the meantime, yesterday, House Speaker John Boehner, the Republican from Ohio, sent a letter to President Obama warning him that the U.S.'s operation in Libya is going to be violating the War Powers Resolution by this Sunday. That would be the 90th day of U.S. military involvement in that country. And I have a copy of the letter in front of me. It sort of closes by Speaker Boehner saying, "I respect your authority as Commander-in-Chief, though I remain deeply concerned the Congress has not been provided answers from the executive branch to fundamental questions regarding the Libya mission necessary for us to fulfill our equally important constitutional responsibilities." Professor Raymond Tanter, our expert in foreign policy, adjunct and a visiting professor at Georgetown University in Washington there, and professor emeritus at the University of Michigan, and prolific author of many, many books. Each time we speak to him, he's got another one out. I don't know how he does it, but some of the others were President, Iran Policy Committee, Rogue Regimes, Terrorism and Proliferation, and President Obama and Iraq toward a responsible troop drawdown. Good morning, Professor.
Good morning, Michael Patrick.
Well, this sort of question, publicly asked from the Speaker of the House to the President of the United States, leaves the common observer wondering if the White House knows what it's doing when it comes to the law, war, and foreign policy. Is that a fair question?
Yes, but as you just said in your segue, it's the law. The issue is, what does the law mean? Congress enacted the War Powers Resolution in 1973 at the end of the Vietnam War, following several decades in which presidents of both parties initiated or escalated hostilities on their own rather than seeking congressional permission. Now, it's the fact that since March 1st, the administration has testified at about 10 hearings about Libya and participated in over 30 member or staff briefings. And the issue, Michael Patrick, is whether a decision by the Supreme Court more than a couple of decades ago suggested that Congress is not empowered to enforce a resolution or other directive, that the president has no chance to veto as he can if a bill were introduced and passed by the Congress. The president could veto, but the president cannot veto the war powers, the enforcement of the war powers resolution. Hence, it's not clear what the law is, Michael Patrick.
I see. Now, when the Libya operation started, it seemed like everything was moving very quickly, that there was going to be regime change, and all of a sudden we sort of stopped hearing about it in the news. What happened?
Well, what happened on the ground is that Colonel Gaddafi didn't know that he was supposed to leave. There was a regime change movie playing, but he didn't attend it. Maybe he had something else to do that day, and all of a sudden he's still there. Now, I believe that Colonel Gaddafi is finished, but the issue is when and whether the Congress can get involved in this or not. I doubt whether the Congress will, whether this will be a constitutional crisis between the executive branch and the legislative branch. But if I were Speaker Boner, I would have written the same letter. In fact, when I was at the White House with President Reagan, I received letters, mainly from Democrats, that sounded just like that letter. I think they must have just copied and pasted it.
Well, you know, with only 30 seconds left here, it seems to me if I were President Obama, I would say to Speaker Boehner, why couldn't you just call me? Why'd you have to send this public letter like that? It makes me look stupid.
Well, no. I mean, this is a silly season. The elections, I don't know whether they're coming up in Michigan or not, given all the things that are happening in Michigan. But this is an election year in 2012, so
okay.
You take a cheap shot if you can.
Follow the money, they say in business. In this case, it's follow the politics, according to Professor Raymond Tanter, who was on the National Security Council for President Ronald Reagan. Go blue to you, and thanks for being available. We'll talk again soon. It's Michael Patrick Shields, Michigan's Morning Show.